Hello, I thought I would work through one more rational equation with you today, since you will have some more of these to do on Delta Math. So let's look at this problem that I have here. And actually, I'm going to need to rewrite this because they don't give me enough room to work. And remember, one of our hints is let's spread things out so we have room to work. So we have 5 over x minus 4 plus x over x minus 6 equals 2x over x squared minus 10x plus 24. Okay, so if I look at the first two denominators, they're just binomials and there's nothing that I can factor out of them, so they're fine the way that they are. However, this last one, I can factor that. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to factor it, and I'm going to just do this right below here, I think. X and x. The positive sign in front of the 24 tells me that my two signs are going to match. They're both going to be minuses. And then a 24, there's lots of things that it can factor with, but a 4 and 6 are what are going to work here. So I'm going to factor that like so. So I think to make this look cleaner, I'm going to replace that line. I'm going to get rid of this and replace it with the factored form because I don't want it to get messy here. So x minus 4 and x minus 6 is what I'm going to use right here. X minus 4 and x minus 6. So I have an equation. You can see the equal sign there. So notice I'm spacing things out so I've got room to work, and I'm going to use different colors here so I can see what is going to cancel. So my first denominator has an x minus 4. I'm going to go ahead and put these other two denominators in parentheses so I can think of them as a binomial. So I'm going to, how about red, multiply each of these fractions by an x minus 4. X minus 4 and x minus 4. So you can see in red me being fair to all of the fractions. So that is important when you're working with equations. So now I can look for canceling, and that's the good part. So choom, choom, those x minus 4's cancel. Nothing cancels on the middle one, but on the last one, choom, choom, the x minus 4's cancel. So that's good. Now if I look at my middle fraction there, I have a denominator of an x minus 6. So if I want that to cancel, I'm going to have to multiply by x minus 6 on all of my terms, all of my fractions here. X minus 6. So each fraction in blue is being multiplied by that binomial x minus 6. That's important because it's fair. If I look at the middle fraction, choom, choom, those x minus 6 terms cancel because one's in the numerator, one's in the denominator. And on the last fraction, choom, choom, those cancel as well. So now we have to clean up this mess that we have. So if I look at my first fraction, I have that 5 getting multiplied in blue by x minus 6. Those are the two pieces that are left. So that would be 5x minus 30. I'm going to bring down the plus sign. If I look at my next fraction, I have an x that's getting multiplied by the x minus 4. So I'll distribute that. That'll be x squared minus 4x. Bring down my equal sign. And the only thing over there on the right is the 2x. Okay, so that's what I have left after I've cleaned up the fractions in this rational equation. So I don't like how the left side looks all out of order like this. So I'm going to put my x squared first. If I put the 5x and the minus 4x together, that would be plus x. And then minus 30 equals 2x. So this remaining equation is a quadratic equation. To solve a quadratic equation, we have to have an equal 0 on one side. So I'm going to subtract 2 x's, put it with my like terms there. So x squared minus, that would be 1x, minus 30 equals 0. Okay, so now we have and equals 0, so we can use our zero product property. Pretty sure this trinomial, yep, it's going to factor. If you need to pause me so you can go ahead and factor that, you go ahead and do that. It's going to factor into x and x in the first spots. The negative in front of the 30 tells me that the two signs are going to be different, so I'll put one positive and one negative. There's lots of things to try for 30, but the ones that work are 6 times 5. So I'm going to put the 6 with the minus sign and the 5 with the plus, because when I check my outers and inners, that gives me my correct middle term of -1. So now we can apply the zero product property. Maybe this factor is the one that's the 0. So if x plus 5 is the one that's 0, subtract 5 on both sides, x equals -5. Maybe this factor is the one that's the 0. Well, if x minus 6 is the one that's the 0, add 6 on both sides, and x equals 6. So we have two potential answers here, but I say potential because we need to check and make sure we don't have an extraneous root. Remember, we cannot divide by 0. So I'm going to check the denominators and see if this would make me divide by 0 anywhere. So I'm going to take the -5 and go, you know what, let me go back to the original, this slide here. Because then you can see, oops, here's what it looked like on Delta Math. So it was a -5, right? So a -5, if I plug it in to the denominators, none of those are going to make the denominators turn to 0. That one's fine, that's an answer. But the 6 has a problem right here. Because if I put a 6 in for x, I would have 6 minus 6 is that denominator. Well, what is 6 minus 6? It's 0. You would have a 0 in your denominator, and we can't do that. So 6 is an extraneous root. You cannot use that answer. So that means, so this one does not work. Our only solution here is x equals -5. So you're going to be working out some more of these on Delta Math, and ask me questions as you need to, and I'm glad to help you. And remember that Jesus loves you, and so do I, so do your math.